Hello friends, welcome to the course on institutional management and administration. Friends, today we are going to talk on one of the most important aspects of institutional management, that is planning. Showing the importance of planning, different authors, leaders, managers have cited different words. Benjamin Franklin, one of the important leaders in the past, has said, "Those who fail to plan to fail." In the words of Antonio de Saint, a goal without a plan is just a wish. In the words of Alan Lakin, an author, planning is bringing the future to present so that you can do something about it now. Means you are planning for now, which is to be implemented in future. So planning is one of the most important aspects of any institution, without which no institution can survive. No goals can be achieved, no objectives can be achieved. Friends, we are going to talk something about planning in today's session. In this session, we are going to understand the concept of planning, principles of planning, and steps involved in making a plan. Let's start with what the plan is exactly. In the words of Kuntz, planning involves selecting missions and objectives and the actions to achieve them. It requires decision making, that is, choosing from alternatives a future course of action. In the words of McFarland, planning may be broadly defined as an executive action that embodies the skill of anticipating, influencing, and controlling the nature and direction of change. Terry says planning is the selection and relating of facts and making and using of assumptions regarding the future in the visualization and formation of proposed activities believed necessary to achieve the desired results. So, planning in true sense is choosing a course of action and deciding in advance what is to be done, when is to be done, why it is to be done, where it is to be done, who is to do it, and how it is to be done. 5 W's, 1 H. Planning in management is a process which involves defining the organization's goals, establishing a strategy, and developing a comprehensive set of plans to integrate and coordinate the organized activities. It can be both formal and informal. In informal, nothing is in black and white. There is no sharing of goals or little sharing of goals with the stakeholders, and it is general and lacks in continuity. On the other hand, formal planning is systematically written, goals are defined and communicated to everybody. It also requires development of specific action plans to achieve the goals. Why we plan? Managers should plan taking into consideration the four broad reasons. First, planning coordinates efforts by giving direction to managers and non-managers, means direction to everybody who is to implement it. Second, planning reduces uncertainty by forcing managers to look ahead, anticipate change, and develop appropriate responses. Thirdly, planning reduces redundancy by eliminating overlapping and wasteful activities. So it requires no overlapping, no wasteful activities. It is reduced by planning. Fourth, planning sets standards or objectives that facilitate control over the process of achieving goals. It sets standards based on which we evaluate whether we are on the right track, whether we have achieved the goals, whether there are some lacunas. This is the reason due to which planning is very effective for future. So, four reasons. First, planning coordinates activities. Second, it reduces redundancy and it helps the managers to foresee the future and anticipate change. And finally, setting of standards. These are the four broad reasons due to which we plan in any organization. What are the major benefits of planning? It allows decisions to be made ahead of time. It permits anticipation of consequences, provides direction and a sense of purpose, provides a unifying framework, avoiding piecemeal decision making, improves competitive strength, achieves better coordination, helps identify threats and opportunities, and reduces risks. It also facilitates managerial control through the setting of standards for monitoring and measuring of performance. It encourages innovation and creativity. These are some of the benefits of the total list. There can be much more benefits, but this is a small list which is being taken care of. Planning is based on some principles. These principles are divided into three major heads. First is based on the purpose and nature of planning. Second is based on the structure of plan. Thirdly, it is based on the process of planning. Let's first understand the principles of planning based on the purpose and nature of planning. The first and foremost under this is principle of contribution to objectives. No plan is successful unless we are able to identify the right objectives and we are able to make the right plans and the supporting plans to promote establishment and accomplishment of these institutional objectives. These objectives should be smart, meaningful, smart in terms of specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And these should be meaningful, clear to everyone who is going to implement it. Third is principle of primacy of planning. Because planning is the first principle of management, that's the reason it precedes every other managerial function. All the other managerial functions of organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling follow planning. Principle of efficiency of plans. Efficiency of a plan is measured by the amount it contributes to the purpose and objectives as observed by the costs required to formulate and operate it and by the onset consequences. This is based on the purpose and nature of planning. Let's understand the principles of planning based on the structure of plans. There are two such principles. Principle of planning premises. Under this, it is said the more thoroughly the individuals who are charged with planning understand and agree to utilize consistent planning premises, the more coordinated the organizational planning will be. We must be knowing what is our future, what are going to be the assumptions, what is the scenario going to be in future. All these things should be known to us at the time of planning. Only then we can anticipate change and accordingly plan. Principle of strategy and policy framework. The more strategies and policies are clearly understood and implemented in practice, the more consistent and effective will be the framework of organizational plans. Let's understand the process of planning. The principle is principle of limiting factor. In choosing among alternatives, the more accurately individuals can recognize and solve for those factors which are limiting or critical to the attainment of desired goals, the more easily and accurately they can select the most favorable alternative. So we must be very sure of our limiting factors, critical factors for the achievement of our goals. Based on these limiting factors, we can design the right plan for the future. The commitment of people is the last principle of this process of planning. Logical planning should cover a period of time in the future, necessary to foresee as well as possible through a series of actions, the fulfillment of commitments involved in a decision-making process. The decisions which are being made today are to be implemented in future, and accordingly we should be knowing what is the type of future it is going to be and what are the assumptions we have to take. Principle of flexibility. Building flexibility into plans will lessen danger of losses incurred through unexpected events, but the rider is cost of flexibility should be weighed against its advantages. Unless we know what is going to be the cost of flexibility, and it should not be such high that the benefits of putting flexibility into the plan is not going to lead the overall benefit to the system. Principle of navigational change. The more the planning decisions commit individuals to a future path, the more important it is to check on events and expectations periodically and redraft plans as necessary to maintain a course toward a desired goal. Means monitoring is a must. Unless we are able to monitor the plan which we are to implement, no plan can be rightly implemented. It's generally said, what gets measured gets done. That's the reason navigational path, the changes required, corrective actions required must be identified based on the working of the plan in future. Let's understand the steps in planning. Basically, in any planning process, there are 8 important steps. First step is being aware of the opportunity. Unless we know the opportunity, we cannot plan for future. Thus, these opportunities are to be decided in the light of market scenario, market competition, customer desires, customer expectations, our strengths and weaknesses. And based on this opportunity, awareness of opportunity, we set our goals, where we want to be in future, what we wish to accomplish, and when. This is the second step of planning, that is called setting objectives or goals. Third step of planning is considering planning premises, indicating what are going to be our assumptions, what is the type of scenario which will be in the future, means understanding what environment will our plans have to operate in. Fourth step of any planning is identifying alternatives. Based on our goals, objectives, which we have formulated for the future, we have to identify the right alternatives which will help us in our accomplishment of our objectives. These alternatives are to be identified based on the cost, feasibility, practicality, technology required, and other resources required, and based on which we identify the right alternative for our right goal. So, choosing of right alternative of the list of alternatives is the sixth step of any planning process. When we have identified the right alternative or the optimum alternative or the best alternative for our plan to be implemented in future, we have to formulate derivative plans. These plans are in terms of recruitment of staff, training of human resources, buying of equipment, buying of raw material. Unless these are identified, no plan can be implemented, because these are the things which are going to support the implementation of the plan. Though derivative plans have to be made beforehand, before the implementation of any plan in any educational institution. And finally, the budget has to be identified, budget for recruitment, budget for training, budget for buying equipment, budget for raw material, and capital expenses, operating expenses. All the budgets have to be identified beforehand, so that the plan is implemented in a smooth and effective manner. These are some 8 steps which are important for any planning process. Summarizing, it is generally said planning is the primary management function that establishes the basis for all other management functions. Planning is a pervasive and continuous managerial function which involves complex processes of perception, analysis, conceptual thought, communication, decision making, and implementation. Systematic planning in an organization is frequently associated with positive results like high productivity, better financial results, enhanced quality, efficiency, and effectiveness. Friends, this is all I wanted to deal in this presentation. I am sure after this presentation, you will be able to identify the right concept of planning, principles of planning, and 8 steps required for any planning process. Any doubts, any queries, you can always email me on rakeshkvas@gmail.com, or you can go through the additional material which will be supplied with this presentation. Thank you very much.